Hello, friends. Bible study, NIV, Luke 23, and we are going to start at 27. So, I'm going to give you a little before we get into this part, because where we're at right now is Jesus has been arrested. He was betrayed. He was arrested. He was beaten by the Jewish guards, and then he was sent to Pilate. Pilate said, hey, this isn't my problem. It's Herod's problem. Sends him to Herod. Herod dresses him. They mock him. And then they send him back to Pilate. And Pilate has tried to convince them that we don't need to kill him. We'll whip him instead. That should be enough for you. Take him away, brutalize him with the whipping, and then bringing him back in front of the people. And they're still insisting no, crucifixion must happen, because the leaders, the Pharisees, need him to not be alive anymore. They don't realize they're making a martyr, but they need him to not be alive anymore because he's threatening their power and their rule. But his popularity is what's making Pilate and Herod not want to do anything to him, because they feel like killing him is going to create a problem. And they are correct, but it also creates a savior for the rest of us. So this is right, Simon, the one who ends up helping him carry the cross, is just been recruited to help him carry the cross because he's been brutalized so bad he can't carry the cross himself. So Simon has to help him. So starting at 27, a large number of people followed him, including women who mourned and wailed for him. Jesus turned and said to them, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me. Weep for yourselves and for your children. For the time will come when you will say, 'Blessed are the barren women, and the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed.' Then they will say to the mountains, 'Fall on us,' and to the hills, 'Cover us.'" There's a little footnote here for that. Oh, that comes from chapter 30 of Hosea. "For if the men do these things when the tree is green, what will they do when it's dry?" So he's saying, even under the Roman occupation, Jerusalem still has the ability to support life. They can still grow food. People aren't starving. They're not in a famine. None of those things are happening. The people are, while being under Roman rule, are not failing. What's going to happen if these people are willing to be this cruel at this time, when everything is okay, when there's resources are less? How are these kinds of people going to treat others when there is a famine, when there is a war, when there is a problem? They're going to treat them terribly. Women and children are going to be the ones, and especially women with children, are going to be the ones most in, danger, because they have to be able to try to keep those children alive during a time when they're going to be considered expendable. Because when people are willing to be cruel, that they're so cruel that the truth doesn't matter, and as long as they get what they want, when they're at that state, they're totally working for the opposition, and they are not valuing human life. And if you're in a place where you're not valuing human life, do not expect any of the regular social norms to exist. Because in the social norm, especially in today's society, less so in this portion, because the further back in history you go, the more brutal people were. It wasn't just our bodies that evolved. And I know that's like, wait, but you're reading the Bible and you believe. Yeah, I read the Bible and I believe in evolution, because I believe God can make us happen however he wanted. Every single culture has an origin story about the creation of man coming from the dirt. I'm unsurprised that the Jewish people had one of their own. It doesn't mean evolution didn't happen. It just means our imagination isn't good enough to figure out how God would practically do this thing. Because back then we didn't have the technology or any of the rest of that to study anything. We still do come from the earth. Absolutely all of the molecules that are in us are compatible with the molecules that are in the earth and the molecules of everything else around us. So it's still true. We still come from the dirt, as in the sense that dirt is made of carbon and we are made of carbon. We are big bags of carbon salt water, and so is everything else of nature on this planet. It's just what is. That's why we have to eat the things that are from here in order to sustain the fuel that is here, right? To make the bodies keep going. And so does everything else. The miracle things are the plants, because there's the ones who are ingesting light and using that as photosynthesis to make themselves starches and carbohydrates that we then live on. Okay, they're upping their light quotient naturally, and we got to eat them in order to up our light quotient in the first place. That's why we need starches. You can't survive without starches or carbohydrates. You want to because you think they make you fat, but they don't actually. They are your fuel source for your body, and it's a matter of eating the right ones of them in the right order to keep your energy going, to keep your metabolism up. It's all part of it. When you're on the ascension path, you need the religious part, you need the science part. Your first job is to understand you better than anybody else in existence, except maybe Creator. If you understand yourself, you know how to self-soothe then, and you know how to find the way that you can excel. You know how to find the way that you can learn. You know how to find your way, because that's what He really wants. Because people are not, when things get rough, people are going to still show the animal that's in them. And that's really what you're looking at, is the further back you go in time, the more acceptable it was socially for groups to act more animalistic. What we're doing is evolving not just our vessels, but our heart, minds, bodies, and souls too, to the place where we're starting to understand that everybody around us may not have the exact same wants, but they do have relatively the same needs, and it's just a matter of how they meet them. Every vessel needs fuel. Every vessel needs water. Every human needs love. Everybody needs grace. Everybody needs compassion. Everybody has feelings, and those feelings are something they're allowed to have. So it's everybody is a human just like me. Maybe I should treat them that way. And the more commonplace that gets, the better world we're going to have. And what He's warning of here is if we don't start acting better, then when the next disaster hits, expect people to revert to their animal state. Hopefully, we can, keep pulling this ascension path forward. Keep upping the light quotient, not just in ourselves, but in others too.